Welcome to the CEO's blog for this week, and what a week it's been. As usual, we'll start off with where we are with COVID-19 protocols, and the most pressing issue on the minds of most participants is the regional boundaries. At this point in time, Harness Racing New South Wales has elected not to remove those boundaries. However, I can say we are close. We're monitoring the level of infection rates across New South Wales in total, and as these numbers stay low, we'll be looking to move out of the regional boundaries, and as I say, we hope that's not too far away. However, what we are also developing are protocols for patrons on track. From October 1, we wish to maximise the number of people that New South Wales Health will allow on a racecourse. So protocols, conditions will be produced. They'll be put out to the clubs. Clubs will have to be able to be satisfied that they can comply with these protocols, and they're not easy. So when you hear that at another track or another code they're doing something different, that might not necessarily be correct in accordance with the New South Wales Health guidelines. So we will be compliant in the harness racing industry because we wish to keep racing. We don't want to be fined, as you often see other venues are. Not in racing, of course. However, just remember your social distancing is very important. The wearing of masks by participants is extremely important. At this time, we're asking other patrons on course to wear masks as well. Keep up the good work and keep going forward, and we'll be out of this situation we're in right now, that is the regional boundaries, sooner than later. Well, the first round of the 2-year-old division of the Breeders' Challenge is now complete, and hasn't there been some exciting racing? Once again, I'd be very clear on this. If you're unsure about what the conditions are, don't be disappointed about finding out what they are after the fields are drawn. Contact Sean Snudden, go through the conditions that concern you or you're not clear on, and we'll move forward through the series without too much angst. On those races, however, 2 points about the conditions you must be clear on. That is, we intend running 12 heats in each division. If we run additional heats, that will mean there'll be less positions other than winners into the semi-finals. So be very clear about that, because as we've already seen, we've had a dead heat in one of the 2-year-old fillies divisions. So where we would theoretically say there are 8 positions available in the 2-year-old fillies division, there will now only be 7 positions available if all the winners nominate. At Leeton, David Kennedy's gelding Rock and Roll Runner, driven by Jackson Painting, was impressive in 1:56, whilst Visitor, I'm Prezi Bell, won for Peter and Will Rickson in the fillies heat. At Dubbo on Sunday, Bernie Hewitt worked out how to maximise his numbers in the semi-finals. He trained a dead heat in the fillies division with I Am a Joyride and Better Jewel, whilst Chris and Anthony Frisbee won with gelding He Ain't Fakin' in 1:57.2. At Tamworth yesterday, Heavenly Holly won for Michael Formosa and owners Peter and Maureen Green in a steady 2-2 on a rain-affected track in the fillies division, whilst What's Up Sunshine was the beneficiary of the race conditions for Ricky Alchin when it won the Colts division by a widening 30 metres in 1:59.3 on that same wet track. It's simply amazing the times that these horses are running. So the competition in the semi-finals and right through to the final at Tabcorp Park Menangle will be something worth watching. As announced by Harness Racing Australia, the season will change from January 1 next year. There are a few little things in there that people would be concerned about. One was what will happen with 2-year-olds trialling leading up to January 1. Harness Racing New South Wales, in collaboration with the other states and Harness Racing Australia, will adopt a rule which will allow virtually a seamless transition through to the trialling and racing of 2-year-olds. Another really important matter is what do we do with this program, and I can assure you that Harness Racing New South Wales is working with those other states and again Harness Racing Australia to make sure that the opportunities across the full year, the full calendar year, are no less than what they are as we currently experience it. So it's a great step forward in my opinion. It's a great step forward in other people's opinions too, because this has been passed unanimously by all states of Australia. So we look forward to January 1, 2021, when our racing season will be in a calendar year, and the focus will be on taking our races, our primary races out of the cold winter months and putting them into the warmer months. So we look forward to that, and we look forward to where we're heading with innovation in harness racing. Whilst the highlights of the week were primarily the Breeders' Challenge 2-year-old division heats, there was plenty of other racing across the state last week. At Leeton on Friday afternoon, Jackson Painting drove half the program, including winning the first race with 40-1 shot White Pointer for trainer Noel Maxwell. At Newcastle, Gemma Coney landed a double with Soho Sinatra and Brittany Jane, both trained by Clayton Harmey, who landed 3 winners, the other being Rock and Roll Rhythm. Cash and Flow continued his unbeaten streak at now 10 at Tabcorp Park, Menangle on Saturday night for Craig Cross, who trained half the program, whilst Luke McCarthy drove 3 winners. Chris and Anthony Frisbee combined for a double at Dubbo on Sunday with Auntie Bella and He Ain't Fakin', whilst Nathan Hurst also drove a double. Menangle on Tuesday, the Butt family of Tim, Anthony and Riley were prominent, combining to win 3 races, whilst Malcolm Locke and Jack Trainer combined to land a double with Tungsten Terror and Ideal Warrior. At Bathurst on Wednesday night, Bernie Hewitt was the only double up, winning with 2-year-olds Sahara Jewel, driven by son Jason, and Bridge Coin, driven by other son Doug, the managing owner of both horses being Wayne Loader. Dean Chappell's 4 from 4 effort at Tamworth was the highlight at Tamworth yesterday afternoon, and the races were just not on the favourites, with prices in order 8-1, 23-1, 7-1 and 2-1, with 2 of the winners owned by Dean's wife Julie. To close the week, Penrith last night, Nicky Pagan was the owner, trainer, driver of Jack Be Quick. Wonderful week of racing all round. As breeders know, the Dubbo Harness Racing Club runs that wonderful Red Ochre Classic for mares. The process for securing the prize money for this race is through the stallion tender auction. That's currently in place. It closes this afternoon, but there's a wonderful group of stallions there to be bid on. So take your time, go to the Dubbo Harness Racing Club website, have a look at those stallions and make a bid. It's for a very good cause. Talking about good causes, I remind you once again of the Stallion Tender Auction supporting the locals, which is being conducted by the Breeders' Association, led by Martin Sieper. This group of stallions, as I've said before, are exceptional. That doesn't close until the 25th of September, so take your time perhaps, but have a look at those stallions because they're really worthwhile. Whilst we're talking about stallions, Harness Racing New South Wales this week dispatched to breeders across Australia the credentials of some of the stallions which we are covering under our Stallion Incentive Scheme. This is an initiative where Harness Racing New South Wales supports the stallions standing in the state. So no other state does that. So we would like you to take the opportunity when you receive in the mail those wonderful brochures on those very well-credentialed stallions and perhaps breed to those horses which are standing here in New South Wales. And of course, some of them are colonial bred stallions, and in another initiative that isn't covered anywhere else. When you have that resultant foal, you will receive a $500 rebate from Harness Racing New South Wales. So have a look at what's available. Not all the stallions are in New South Wales, but there certainly are some benefits which are provided to the breeding industry in New South Wales by Harness Racing New South Wales. Well, the registrations have already started flowing in here to Grant Wooten with the foals born this season, and we've got quite a few. Have a look at this photo of this fine Lazarus colt, bred by David and Rachel Micallef. He is from the mare Shaloundra, which is a 156 sister to the champion Bowtide. This colt is eligible for $1,000 in breeders' bonuses from Harness Racing New South Wales and Club Menangle. Why? He's bred in New South Wales and he's by a colonial stallion. So that's a real bonus that people have a choice to collect. They just have to breed to those stallions that offer it. And we can't say anything that is not right about a horse like Lazarus. The appreciation of the industry must be extended to Jeff and Lorraine Barnes, who have been working tirelessly with Harness Racing Australia and the federal and state governments with regard to the transport of semen from New Zealand and across the closed state borders during the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. The cooperative approach by the various studs outside of New South Wales, Alabar, Woodlands, Empire, Northern Rivers Equine, Neville etc., demonstrates just how the harness racing fraternity works together in these challenging times. So if you have a photo of your foal, please send it in and we'll run it each week. They are of interest and they are your future star and champion. So let's give them some promotion early in their life instead of when we're later and we're showing them as the winner of the Miracle Mile or the Inter-Dominion. We look forward to the highlights of next week, and the Breeders' Challenge 3-year-old first round heats will be the focus. We have Parkes on Sunday, Young on Tuesday, and Penrith and Tamworth on Thursday. But perhaps the real highlight of the week will be on Saturday afternoon, when Sky Channel will be focusing on 2 races, one here in New South Wales and the other down in Victoria. In the space of 15 minutes, these 2 races will feature Miracle Mile champion King of Swing at Tabcorp Park Menangle and Ride High, only beaten once in 16 starts, at Terang. They will capture the attention of all horse racing followers. Such is the interest across all codes of racing, Sky Racing will be providing premier coverage of these 2 races from 5:40 p.m. through to 6:10 p.m. and during the afternoon thoroughbred action. King of Swing has a 1:48 best and will be driven by Luke McCarthy for Craig Cross, whilst Ride High, to be driven for the first time by Katie Gath, is trained by Clayton Tonkin and has a 1:49 best mile rate. I would like to thank all involved, from the club racing managers for positioning the races to gain attraction from horse racing followers, and in New South Wales, that is the pure genius and persuasiveness of David Watson. Good on you, Grasshopper, and to Darren Pearce and Adam Hamilton and the team at Sky Racing for, as always, supporting harness racing with the coverage. That is the blog for this week. Don't forget that opportunity tomorrow afternoon, Saturday, and tune into Parkes on Sunday for when we kick off the Breeders' Challenge 3-year-old first round heats.